Happy New Year! Happy 2025, friends at the library in Baldwinsville. I'm so delighted to be with you tonight. My name is Missy Shipman with Missy's Glad Heart Studio, and I'm so thankful to Julia and to the Baldwinsville Public Library for co-hosting this class that we hold monthly here on Zoom and on Facebook and YouTube. Um, all of those places is where you can access the recordings, but we do it live on a Thursday evening on Zoom. So if you're in the future able to join us live, we would enjoy that as well. I share three projects tonight. It looks like more on my sample board today because I'm going to show some different variations with things for you. You're going to have some choose your own adventure options tonight. And then I'll also share with you how you can turn the paper bag into something really special as a kind of a special gift holder. And I will explain about that. So at the end, if you wanted to use some paper that you have from your stash or some wrapping paper left over from holiday gift giving. That will be useful to you. Also, tonight you'll need some paper snips or scissors, some dimensionals, and the adhesive that I'll be showcasing tonight is actually in your kit. You'll have in your bag is a shimmery crystal effects, and that's wonderful to create a shiny, glittery glow. Let's see if I can get it to be on the camera there to pick up any of the sparkle. I've put it on the evergreen here. It's a little bit tricky to see. As we work together, you'll see that tonight. But it also just is a really nice, strong adhesive, and I'll be using it to layer some of our items tonight. So you'll see there are some, there's a red card here tonight. Some of you have a blue card in your packet. Some of you have the red card. So don't be surprised if you're looking and you see a frame card, but it's blue, then that is in your kit. Sadly, I couldn't get to my studio this week to get my other samples, so I just picked up kits from Julia and worked with what I had in each of you. And as I grabbed the kits, I didn't think to be sure that one was blue and one was red. So I'll be sure to post some photos of some blue pictures of the blue variations. The blue card is very similar. It also has a rose die cut, and so you'll have a few pieces that you can wiggle around with as well. This card here is one that we're going to do some fussy cutting. So your birds will look different from my birds perhaps, but you'll have this circle of birch bark paper. And then you'll notice on this card, they look very different, but that is because I flipped it over. So I chose to have one be just this gorgeous mango color as the card base, and the other is the printed floral. So when you open your paper packet, you'll get to decide which one you want to have be featured for the front of your card. You'll also notice a wood die cut piece that says hello. And I have it on two samples here, but you only have one in your kit. So again, choose your own adventure. You're going to be deciding where you want that wood die cut to be featured. I really loved it with the birds, the woodland wintertime birds. I thought the wood grain of the birch bark and the nature elements worked well with that. But I also enjoy how it fits so neatly in this rectangle space. And then when we open up our kits, you'll see there are some printed labels in three different languages. So we have Thinking of You in English, and then we have en français, we have A Thought for You. Une pensée pour toi means a thought for you. And in German, it means very warm regards. This greeting here. And again, I thought that would be appropriate with the wintertime birds because it's cold where we live in upstate New York in the wintertime. And so warm regards would be welcome at this time of year. All righty, so let's go ahead and open up our bag of goodies here tonight. And you want to be careful not to tear. If it tears a little bit, that's okay. But you want to try to keep the paper intact because I will show you at the end how you can use the bag to make a special gift pouch. So let's take out all our goodies. So first you'll see you have this package of the shimmery crystal effects. And as I mentioned, that's a nice adhesive as well as a embellishment, really. You can add it to cardstock or designer series papers or die cut pieces to add that shimmer. It does take time to dry, so you'll want to set that project aside. When you work on this bird one, we'll want to make sure you set that where it won't have fingerprints and other stuff stuck on it. If a paper got on it overnight, it would actually glue right to it. So we want to be sure we keep that free. So there are 3 cards. Again, yours might be blue for the red, my kerchief card here. And I'm going to go ahead and take the things out because you'll notice that I used this twine originally designed for this card with my birds. I thought it looked kind of, again, a texture of nesting. So here, this little circle of twine I've just added to my card. And so I'm going to pull out the twine and tuck it in with the bird card. Okay. And then you'll see I have these labels. And this again is where you can decide where you want to have your, which piece you want to feature. Also the gold die cut leaves here, I used on 2 of the projects. I used them both on the red card and also on the bird card, just to add another little contrasting texture. This card, I love the simplicity of it, but also how it has layers of different kinds of texture. I think it's very engaging. Okay, so let's begin with the red card, and I'll show you a couple of possibilities. I used mine to make a Valentine for my husband, a little frame of Missy many years ago. This is either 2nd or 3rd grade. I'm not quite sure, but that's me. And I recently was helping my parents with some sorting and came across some fun photos. So I thought this would be a great one to include with a little gift for my husband at Valentine's Day. And so to make that, I simply cut an X here across this frame center and then folded those pieces back under to make the frame edge. So you'll see here it's kind of it's scored and folded under to make it a frame. And then I sealed that shut. So this could have a magnet on the back or go into a regular picture frame perhaps, and then this would be just the matting. So one way you might choose to use this card is to create a frame like that. Another way is to use it more as designed, where we're just putting in some of the, and I see we're live on Facebook now too. So I want to say hello to those friends joining us. Happy 2025 and happy crafting with us tonight. So this one uses one of the labels, and I use the English version here, but you again can choose from a different language if you wish. It's a similar greeting, thinking of you, a thought for you, or very warm regards. All right. Now this one I'm going to use as a frame as well, but I'm going to put a photo right on top instead of cutting into it. And I'm going to share. This is another picture that I found in my parents' basement of my parents years ago. And I thought, what fun to make this for them for a Valentine. So I'm going to just simply layer this onto the card rather than cut out the frame. And that way it'll be a regular card that I can write a great greeting inside for them. So this piece of vellum is just going to act as a little mat. It's going to just create a little bit of a lighter red tone behind the photo, excuse me, just to create a little matting. So
Boy, I
this,
can really see where your
my
face.
mama, yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that great fun? Yeah, here I can hold them next to one another.
Oh wow.
And my son Billy, when he was looking at these, he's like, "Oh, mom," because he looks just like me. When he was this age, we were like twins. So I'm going to take my shimmery crystal effects and just anchor, make a little squiggle. This is very sticky, so you don't need a lot. I'm going to just make a squiggle, and I'm putting it on the insides because the very edge of the vellum is going to show, but this middle section will not. So we'll put that, we're going to anchor that down, just kind of smooth it. And that little messy glue part's going to be covered up by the picture of my parents. And I want that to pop up a little bit. So I'm going to use some dimensionals. Now, if you don't have dimensionals, you can use regular adhesive. You can use the shimmery crystal effects if you like. I'm going to be quite generous with the dimensionals here because I want it to stay elevated. And I also, the photo is a little bit, has a little bit of curl to it. It's been in a box for a while, um, not in a flat frame. So I'm going to help it lay flat by putting lots of those dimensionals in place. Peel off the little liners. Okay. I missed that comment. I saw it was a question, and if you want to repeat it, or if Julia can ask me, um, I just saw a quick comment but didn't get to read it all.
Yeah, I was asking if anybody needed to know more
Oh,
about the term vellum. That's
oh, excellent, great. Yes, vellum is a cardstock that's translucent, not transparent, but translucent. And it makes really beautiful envelopes when you can have a little sneak peek of what's inside. This is just a piece cut to be a little bit of a frame here or a layering piece so that now the card will have that dimension. And I'm going to keep it just as is. I love that it's just showcasing them. If I find a little verse with a Valentine heart or something, I might put it up in the corner here because there's this spot of the photo that's kind of empty. My mom is probably sitting and dad is standing, or mom is just a lot shorter than dad anyway. So anyway, I'm going to leave it just very simple as I did this original one here. But within your kit of the red or the blue card, you have these greetings, you have the die cut gold pieces, and you also have that twine. So again, I'm reserving the twine for my bird card, but you can do a choose your own adventure and mix and match with our supplies tonight. So that's very simply that card. If I wanted to use the one of the greetings, I chose to simply elevate the greeting with the dimensionals and then anchor these little gold pieces with some of the crystal effects. You'll see how I didn't put them on all the edges of the leaf. I wanted there to be a little bit of lift or movement here. Um, so I only put glue behind the little parts that were going to be tucked under. Great. So some simple cards, but always think of what fun you can do to add photos, or maybe you just find in magazines some pictures or quotes that you like. Those are nice things to add to a card base. I'll leave these out because I am going to use them for my next card, which is the bird one. Now, this one, here are my two samples. You'll see how my placement of the circle was kind of dependent on the way my birds were facing. I wanted them to have a little room to gaze over. So the one facing to the left is a little more set to the right, and the one gazing right is a little more set to the left. I also know that the space on this card is set up nicely if I wanted to stamp a greeting here. This is a lovely white space. This one's a little bit wider than the others. It's kind of a watercolor wash look. And I think this would be a great place to put a greeting if you wanted to stamp a message, a happy birthday, or thinking of you, or any kind of verse. This is a nice space for that here. And I'm going to first have to like examine the bird here, right? And do my fussy cutting to see. In this case, he's looking over to the right. I want to give him a space to gaze. So I'll mount him a little more on the side. Now, when I fussy cut, I like to move the designer series paper, the paper, and keep my scissors pretty stationary. Sometimes when I talk, it's harder. You sometimes do it differently than what you're when we're trying to describe it. But you'll notice how my scissors in my right hand are pretty much staying perpendicular to my body, whereas the paper is what I'm rotating and moving around. And I generally leave a little bit of white space around whatever I'm cutting. That's just because it's faster this way for one reason. If I was trying to be very precise and close to the image, then I would need to take more time. If you don't enjoy fussy cutting, you can leave a wider border around this because it is white. It won't distract too much from the layering, but I like that I can get in and around these little branches and berries so that when I mount it on circle birch bark, more of that texture will show. Isn't that pretty? So you, again, your bird collection will likely be different from one of mine. There were several that I chose and featured for this. And then now we're going to make a decision about what kind of greeting we want to use. If we want to use the wood one that we have from this kit, or if we want to choose one of the greetings. And I actually am going to use this German one again, the Ganz liebe Grube, I think is kind of how you say it, because that means very warm regards. And I'm going to use these cards as little thinking of you, thank you cards for holiday friends that I saw over the holidays or that I received gifts from. And it seems to me that because I'm living where it's very cold, sending warm regards is appropriate. Okay. So let's start building. We're going to take some dimensionals, or if you use other adhesive, that's fine. We're going to build this little nest for the bird with the birch bark circle. Those little pieces. Now, I'm choosing to put the birch bark this way because that's how it grows in nature, I think, right? Or no, what do you think, Julia? Is birch bark always like this, or does it sometimes?
It's only that sideways if the branch is reaching out. The trunk goes straight
The
up and
trunk
down.
always goes this way.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to keep mine as if it's on a tree.
And
And then I'm
I double checked it is Grusa.
Grusa. Okay. Yes, you don't say it's not a B, is it? It's a S. Grusa.
Right.
Ganz liebe Grusa. Thank you.
Mhm.
Very good. So I've got my little nest of twine here, and it's already got a nice uh, little twist to it from the way it was stored. So I'm going to have that to put in here. I'm going to have my bird. And then I loved just pulling a little bit of the gold pieces. There are some that have little flowers and some that are bigger leaves. You can choose. Going to kind of maybe tuck that in. You can decide where it best suits coming out of where the bird is. We're going to add our crystal effects last because that's going to be when we squirt it all out kind of thickly and then set it aside. So first I have to put my other pieces in place, okay? I'm going to go ahead and anchor the bird first with some dimensionals like this. Whoops, sometimes the liner comes off before the
If you're putting
dimensional piece does.
if you're
Uh-huh.
putting the string and under it, wouldn't you want to put the string on first? I don't
You
know.
could, yep, you could. What I find I can do is place this and have this sticky
Don't
and
press it
then
down too hard. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I'm going to kind of position that little bit of nest part, stretch it out a little bit, and then I'm going to place this down. And those dimensionals now will kind of stick. Um, I'm going to have to add more dimensionals when I'm building this collage because there's quite a lot of thickness to the twine. See here. So I've kind of anchored where I want it to be, and now I'm going to add some more of these dimensionals to kind of try to lock that down a little bit.
Strategically. That
Yeah,
looks good. Yeah.
yeah.
That looks
Yes. And then we'll take some more of this Crystal Effects, this nice shiny adhesive, and I'm just going to tuck that in there so it adds a little bit of shine before I add my other pieces. We'll put our German greeting here, up again on dimensionals, popping those up. And we'll place that there. Again, this is a great space if you have a favorite greeting that you want to handwrite, a little verse, or if you want to stamp something, that's a great spot. But this greeting, very warm regards, is so appropriate. So to finish this, we're going to add some of the shimmery crystal effects. Now, when I use it as an adhesive, I do a very thin layer or little dots, but when I'm making it so that it is bumpy here, I'm going to add it quite thickly on top of the branches. Can you kind of see now it's a little bit cloudy until it dries. Okay. So I'm just going to put it on all of the evergreen boughs here and on the little berries too. Now this Crystal Effects has a little bit of glitter in it, so not too much, and it won't flake off. but it's going to have a little bit of sparkle. And we'll just make nice. Now, if you put too much down at a time, it'll make a little air bubble, and you want to try to avoid those
Mm.
because they'll dry like that. So if you get too much, you can kind of poke it with the tip or with a pin. But here, I hope you can see I've added just a pretty thick layer, and it's kind of opaque right now, but it will dry clearly.
Yeah, I
And I
noticed
want, go ahead.
the bird's eye is so small.
Oh,
I
yeah.
wonder if you have the smallest of little jewels that you could put in there.
Ah, you're right. You're right. It is very, very tiny. I don't have anything here on hand. At my studio, I might have something very tiny. I would hesitate to put the shimmering on it. I think that would be more
Ah,
distracting.
hmm.
But you're right. The different birds have this one, the eye is a little more easy to see. This one, he's kind of closed his eyes a little bit. Maybe he's resting. So, okay, so that one's ready. We're going to set it aside because we don't want anything to get glued into it overnight or our fingers to get glued in there. So just sort of set that aside where it can dry, and we'll move on to our next card. This one is, again, you'll have a choose your own adventure option because you can choose to have the cover be this lovely floral pattern or this fun mango color as the base of your card. And there's no right answer. It's up to you. Some people take card bases like this and cut them apart so that they can make two cards. Then they can add it as a tag to something or on top of another card. So I hope you always know that the supplies you receive for our kids each month are really just for you to play, mix, and match with and to create things that you like to make. So if you need tags for some gifts coming up, you could simply cut this even into fourths and make some really sweet gift tags. So the sky's the limit. Also, if you're a memory keeper or a scrapbooker, then a lot of card parts can be used in your layouts. So for tonight, I'm going to go ahead and use the floral piece. Again, I'm thinking of who I want to share it with. And this one I think would be fun to send to my cousin who just had a baby girl in November. I'm going to be seeing her in person, hopefully, if this weather cooperates soon. But it's just a cheerful hello card. It's not really a baby card. We've already sent that. This is just to say I'm thinking of you, right? So let's go ahead. We're going to build up the card, and I'll use the Shimmery Effects as my adhesive tonight, just a thin layer around the outside there and a little squiggle. You can see it's kind of hard to see because it is clear, but I've just outlined the edge there. It's nice and sticky. And secure that. Next, I can build up the banner. Let me show you I'll have this next to me. If you're choosing to do the other way, you can flip this over, or you could still do the mango, but it wouldn't show as well. I would suggest if you're doing that to put the white. I'm gonna flip it and have that contrasting color.
Yeah, if you had the yellow facing up, you could cover it with some of that like that water pen that you had,
Uh-huh.
and make it a slightly different yellow.
You're right. Yep. And yeah, let me show you something quickly while we're thinking about the water pen, because one of the kits that I have for our class tomorrow for our Let's Kit Together, one of the options is a new kit called Nature's Paintings Kit. And what this is printed, they're almost like postcards. You could mail them as postcards or use them as card fronts. Beautifully printed designs. And also in the kit are watercolor pencils and a water brush. So yes, that what Julia is referencing is how you can modify cardstock by adding layering coloring to it or stamping right directly onto it. If you had a little flower stamp, for example, you could stamp, 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 and make that be more like a fabric banner instead of a solid color. So I love when we can share different ideas for using supplies and using the things you have at home. Take a look in your craft stash, what you have that you'd like to combine with the elements that come in the kit each month. That's a great joy for me to hear about. This one I love. You could use it as white if you wanted there to be a white label for something, but I love that it's a foil. It's got this really nice shine to it that kind of echoes the gold foil shine that's on this paper and on this one. So I'm going to go ahead and use the little hello on this card since I used the German greeting on my other card, but you can mix and match. And you'll find the Crystal Effects is a great adhesive for elements like this wood element or little buttons and little sequins, things that have some weight to them. It dries clear. It'll dry a little bit shiny, so it's not like you'll still know it's there if it hangs over the edge, but like a little bit of mine might sneak over there and be shiny. But it dries clear, and it's a very strong adhesive, so it will hold together something that has weight to it that might not other glues might not welcome as much. So there's our hello card. And the envelopes, it's fun, right? When they have a little complimentary design inside. It's a little sneak peek. So there are those. I'll show you this one's still drying. I'm going to be careful not to touch it right now, but that's the one that we made with the crystal effects. And then here are some of the inspiration for that first card. Just using the simple, because the card already had that nice frame design, it just called out to me to use it as a frame for a card. And if yours is blue, it will work also beautifully for a Valentine or for just a springtime Easter card, maybe, or a springtime card. Now, before we go, I do want to share with you a way you can use your white lunch bag. And I don't have the pieces cut for you in the kit. So but I'm going to share the dimensions for you. And for next month's kit, I'll use these bags again. And each time I'm trying to share new different ways you can use them as a gift pouch or container. And but you, if you participated in our November class, then you have several sheets of 12 by 12 cardstock, which would designer series paper, which would work really well for this. Or as I also suggested, you can use wrapping paper or, other magazine pieces. This is one I made with some new paper that's Storybook Friends. And what's special about this designer series paper package is it includes 2 sheets of these die cut, wonderfully illustrated little creatures. So they're all ready to just pop out. And they're sort of Beatrix Potter inspired storybook creatures and characters. And so I used some of the sweet ones here to make this. I think this would be fun to give some seed packets to a friend or some note paper and a pretty pen or something like that. So to make this, we are going to modify the bag. We're kind of going to reverse the folds. So you're welcome to do this along with me, or you can just watch and then rewatch when the video is posted to see how it's done. But you'll notice a paper bag like this has a gusset. And so it's designed where the folds go in and it tucks inside like this. What we're going to do is reverse those folds so that they're going to be on the coming out to the outside. And it just takes a little bit of patience and time. What's happening is the bottom, we're going to be folding in. And these sides, these 2 lines here have to come out instead of in.
Okay.
So I'm gonna do it on this one, and then I'll also show you on another one that I've already folded. But see how it makes this triangle here? And then that can tuck down. So our bag, now I've done this half. This half is ready. You'll see how the angle comes out here. Need to do the same on this side. And basically reversing those folds. And you just have to be patient because they've been like this for a while. This bag was made and stored and shipped and paired, on the shelf for a while with that fold. So it has to kind of be reversed now. I'm going to tuck that in. So the bottom now, it looks like a boat a little bit. I've made a new crease here to fold it in half. There. Okay. Sorry with the white. I'm going to put this paper underneath in case it's a little better contrast than my white, so you can see it. Okay, so there's the top, and we can fold that down. That's going to be our flap. And then from the part that's open here, I'm going to fold in up to that flap. So I don't have to do any measuring. I can just fold it up till it's where this crease is, where the flap crease is, just below that score line, and fold and crease. So now I'm going to use some adhesive to lock it together, but you'll notice there actually are two pockets here. I have this smaller inside one, and then I'll have from the fold. And then once I glue this together, I'll have another pocket. Let me show you on this completed one here. It's got some goodies inside. I put a cookie and some hot chocolate. Wouldn't that be fun for a January warm up? What's that?
Yum, 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 yum.
Yes, yes, yes. So here actually here you can see the two pockets, that first layer, and you could glue that together if you just wanted one bigger pocket, but I thought it was still kind of fun to, depending on what you put in here, you might want to have an opportunity to do the separation. So like I put both of these in the big part, but I could put one in each of those pockets so it looks even more full like that. Okay, so once we have our bag folded this way, we just have to use a little bit of adhesive to lock things together. What I want to do is use some of the tear and tape, and this was in the December kit. If you took part in our December class, that you received a full paper pumpkin kit that had some tear and tape inside. But you could also use your Crystal Effects or another adhesive. We're just going to put those pieces together. And then we're going to add some adhesive on the sides so that the pouch will have edges that are sealed here. I'm just going to take a strip on the left and on the right and peel these off. Here we are. Okay. So now my basic construction is done of the pouch. And here you could stamp it, you could color it with markers, you could paint it, you could put stickers all over it. But what I'm going to share with you tonight is the dimensions to add some designer series paper so that you could decorate your paper with some pretty papers, your pouch with some pretty papers. Now, depending on the size of the bag that you start with, you're going to have some different measurements. So this paper bag that I have for packing my kits for you, when I folded it like this, it measures 10 inches by 5 inches once it's made into the pouch. Now, I also made one with a Chipotle bag. So that measures, those are a little bit different. So I actually just like it like this with the designs from Chipotle, but maybe I would write a special message here for the friend that I give it to. It's just a fun way to recycle. And I think it brings joy to people when they see that you've been creative to recycle something or use it and repurpose in a new way. If you choose to do the wrap the way I did with the designer series paper and with the ribbon wrap, I want to show you that before we go tonight. So I'm going to take my ribbon and I need to anchor it along the back. So because I want when it opens up, I don't want the ribbon to fall off. I want the ribbon to be there so someone can reuse this. They can enjoy the things I give to them, and then they can reuse it as a gift package. So they don't have to cut the ribbon, and they don't have to worry about it getting separated from the pouch because it's secured here. So let's take a little bit of glue of our tear and tape, and we're just going to anchor it at the back. It's going to be covered up with paper, but we're just going to anchor it. Okay. There we go. And what I'd like to do is, before I go any further, is just tie it and make sure it's in a pretty good place. Depending on how you do your decorations, you'll want your bow more up or more down on the design, but this will work for mine to be kind of in the middle. Okay. So I'm going to take one of my papers. Now, designer series paper from Stampin' Up has two sides. So this is all cut from one piece of 12 by 12 paper. But I'm flipping over one of them. So I have two pieces that measure 9 3/4 by 4 3/4 inches. And then I have one piece that's 9 3/4 by 1 3/4 inches. And that's the one we're going to taper for the corners. So we can decide which one you want to show more. What do you think, Julia? Should we have more of the abstract design show or more of the floral tonight? Or if anybody watching live has an opinion too, we can share it. On this one, I have sort of the stripe pattern and then just the floral across the flap.
Can you
Oh,
remind me when you're laying out the paper, getting ready to cut or to fold to the envelope,
right.
which parts end up where on the envelope?
Okay, so the two big pieces are going to be the front and the back.
Okay,
And then the flap is this smaller piece. So this would be one option. We're going to trim that, but that would be the floral, mostly floral showing, and then the abstract design showing just on the flap.
right, and you could cut the edges of that however
Yeah,
you,
I will. I'll show you how I do
yeah.
that.
Well,
But
there's
I,
different ways that it could be done, yeah.
yep. But it's up, or you could have one front, the front of it be the abstract design, the back be the floral. You could really decide. But what do you think, Julio? This one's for you. So would you like it to be more abstract and then the floral just on the flap?
I like that, yeah.
Okay, all right, great. So I'm going to use my Crystal Effects, Shimmery Crystal Effects, just to adhere because I have this handy and it's easy to use in this little applicator. So I'm just going to squiggle that on there. And that's going to be at the front of the bag. There's just going to be a tiny bit of frame around it if I cut it properly. We'll do the same for the back, but this time we want to anchor that ribbon. Let's see, would I do the right side? Oops. I already forgot which one we were doing. We'll have it be this way. So I'd love to see what you do with the bags that come each month for your kit. If maybe you make a lunch for your family with them and use it as a lunch bag, or maybe you can create a fun pouch. We did one in November that was a uh, kind of a stand-up pouch, which was clever as well. Now this one, because we want to cut off the edges, and I want there to be a little bit of white showing, just like I have a little bit of white on the edges here. I'm going to take my pen, and what I'm going to do is just mark where the edge is of the white. And I'm going to be cutting off that little mark, so I don't need to worry about it showing.
So you're writing the mark on the piece that you're gonna,
Right on the piece that I'm going to cut,
got
okay?
it.
And then I can take a straight edge and just connect those lines. If you have a paper trimmer, you can cut with a paper trimmer too, but I'm going to just demonstrate how I cut with scissors tonight. So I've just made those lines and I need to cut away just to the left of that line, just to the inside of that line, because again, I want there, just like on the edge here, it has a little bit of white showing. I want there to be a little bit of white along this line. So I'm just going to cut a little bit inside that line on both sides. There we are. And then I can take my adhesive. What's nice about a liquid adhesive with something like this is you can get right into those corners. When you use the tear and tape, it's a little more difficult to get into the corners. It just takes a little more time. So I do enjoy the ease of the liquid adhesive for this kind of thing. So here now you'll see there's going to be a nice little white border around the lid, the flap, just like there is the base.
Very
And
nice.
then I can fold it up, tie it up, and it's ready to share. So I'll bring it to the library for you tomorrow, Julia. This is a pretty one you can use for a friend or for keep your own little things in. It'd be fun if you're traveling to keep your receipts in. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, or love letters or photos or mementos that you, if when you're traveling, lots of opportunities. But I hope that that's been inspiring to see what's possible, how you can turn your paper bag into a cool pouch. And we'll bring back our cards just for a final view and say goodnight and happy new year to everyone. I'd love to see you at the library tomorrow if you can join us for our in-person class. We have some fun things, some fun choices available for kits, some new ones I'd love to share. Thank you, Julia.
Yeah, do you have any cards that are the right size to fit into those envelopes?
Into this pouch? That's
Yeah.
a great question. That's a great question. These do fit. So if we open this up, we can, the cards that we made tonight and their envelopes. Let's see, I'll pull another
Oh,
envelope here
wow.
too. Pretty one. Yeah. Isn't that fun?
An
So these
envelope
can,
inside an envelope inside an envelope.
inside an envelope, yes. So they can, you could fit, you could put a whole bunch. I just have two with envelopes quickly to show you, but you could fit many in here. I just don't want to get the ones that are
Oh,
drying still. But if we keep tucking them in, you can put a whole bunch
wow.
inside.
Okay.
And that would be a fun way to gift your cards as well.
Uh-huh.
So good thinking. I'm going to tie that one up. Yeah. So it does fit the standard size cards, along as well as all kinds of surprises like cookies and cocoa. Great. Thanks, everyone. As always, we welcome your questions and your requests. If you have something you'd like to learn, you see it on Pinterest or out and about, and you'd like to learn something new, then I would welcome a request. We also encourage you to share with a friend the fun that you have making the cards. We usually have a few kits left each month after our initial giveaway. And so the recordings stay available to us through Facebook and YouTube. And so we certainly invite you to invite a friend to pick up a kit as well and craft along with you. And if they live far away, you can do it on Zoom and
Okay,
have that time.
there's a question from Nancy Salinger. Do you have
Yeah.
the measurements for the ribbon, the length?
Oh, great question. 25 inches.
Okay.
25 inches. Yep, I'll write that on here so we know that too.
Yeah.
Ribbon. And that's, an approximate. You can make it longer or shorter, but I usually like a generous bow, so I want to leave it a little bit longer. You can always trim it off.
Oops, hang on a second. I'm just
Yeah,
okay, there we go. All right. Okay.
great. Well, thank you, friends. Happy New Year to you. I look forward to February fun together. And as always, Julia, you're the best. I appreciate your partnership.
Sure thing.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.